Their presence is faint, but others leave something behind. Their names are remembered in rooms they no longer enter. Their influence shapes decisions. Their example becomes a standard. They are unforgettable. The Stoics did not chase fame, but they understood the impact of character. They believed that living in alignment with nature, reason, and virtue created a life that left a mark. Not by force, by presence, not by spectacle, by substance. The goal was not to impress others, but to shape oneself so clearly and with such strength that others are changed in the process. This video is not about being admired, it is about being remembered for the right reasons. Each chapter will focus on a principle rooted in Stoic thought. These are not surface-level behaviors. They are disciplines of mind, action, and intention. Practiced consistently, they make you unforgettable to those who value depth, clarity, and strength. Chapter 1. Conviction without noise. Conviction is quiet. It does not seek attention or applause. It is formed in solitude, through deep questioning, rigorous self-examination, and the slow process of understanding what must be done. It rests on a firm internal foundation, shaped by principles that do not shift with popularity or pressure. The Stoics emphasize the importance of character over display. A person does not need to declare their values if those values are embedded in their choices. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be." B1. This was a call to embody philosophy rather than speak it. It reflects the Stoic view that virtue speaks louder through consistent action than through eloquent expression. Conviction makes itself visible in moments where most people hesitate. It does not arise from impulse or emotion. It is developed through study, correction, and daily effort. It is seen in the way a person holds their direction, even when others disagree or step back. It is observed in the ability to act with decisiveness without explaining every motive. People are drawn to those with conviction because it brings structure to uncertainty. A person who has anchored their behavior in values becomes reliable in ways others can recognize. There is no need to persuade when your actions consistently reflect your principles. People notice how you make decisions. They see that you are not adjusting your direction based on public opinion or changing circumstances. This consistency becomes a source of trust. Others begin to rely on you not because you promise stability, but because you demonstrate it. When values are reflected in action, they build silent influence. People may not say it directly, but they begin to reference your conduct when they feel lost or unsure. Conviction is often mistaken for inflexibility, but it is not a refusal to change. It is a refusal to betray what you have committed yourself to. It means carrying a clear understanding of what matters to you and what standards you have chosen to live by. It requires the ability to stay grounded under stress. It requires the ability to continue in the right direction when distractions or temptations appear. This quality cannot be produced in reaction. It is the result of preparation, internal alignment, and a daily practice of reflection. Those who live with conviction do not need to correct their path constantly because their choices are already guided by a consistent structure. Cultivating conviction starts with clarity. Make your standards visible to yourself. Do not carry vague ideas of what you believe. Make them precise. Decide what you consider to be non-negotiable. Consider the kind of integrity you want to live with. Write these down. Let them become a framework you can return to when your judgment is tested. In situations where hesitation is common, this clarity becomes a tool. When others feel uncertainty, your decisions will already be formed by the structure you built for yourself. This does not eliminate challenge, but it removes indecision. You know what must be done because you already decided what kind of person you intend to be. Keep these principles active through repeated reflection. You do not need to speak about them often. Your consistency will communicate them. Each moment of restraint, each refusal to compromise, each steady action becomes part of the memory others form about you. Conviction does not require defense. It reveals itself in practice. In your work, your relationships, your leadership, people begin to rely on your steadiness. In time, you become an example they hold on to. You become a quiet reference in their minds when they ask themselves what right conduct looks like under pressure. Recognition is not the purpose. Conviction does not require an audience. It is centered in the individual. It is a form of stability that remains steady across conditions. When a person lives by principle, they become a source of quiet order. People notice those who remain calm in pressure. They notice those who are measured in speech when emotions run high. They notice the ones who act when action is required, without delay or need for attention. These behaviors form impressions that are not easily forgotten. A person who demonstrates restraint in conflict or steadiness in uncertainty becomes a reference point for others. They represent what strength looks like when it is fully developed. Their conduct creates memory, not because they demanded recognition, but because they provided clarity when others lost direction. When a person remains consistent in values, it gives others something to measure against. It becomes a mirror for comparison. Self-mastery leaves a stronger imprint than display. When someone does the right thing with full attention and without seeking credit, it raises the standard in the minds of those who observe it. Others may not comment on it directly, but they store the memory. It gives shape to their expectations. In times of doubt or confusion, they recall the person who showed them how to act without noise, who responded without delay, and who remained centered under tension. The effect is cumulative. One moment of clarity, lived in alignment with principle, may not seem significant. But when it repeats, when people witness steadiness in conflict, patience in delay, decisiveness in complexity, the image becomes lasting. The person becomes memorable for their discipline, for their alignment between values and action, and for the absence of vanity in their presence. Unforgettable individuals do not change their values based on who is watching. They are structured from within. Their identity does not shift in public or private, under pressure or in peace. Their responses are consistent because their standards are consistent. This does not mean every response is the same, but every action reflects the same foundation. This internal alignment creates a recognizable pattern that people begin to trust. It becomes clear that the person is not acting from impulse or crowd pressure, but from steady principles. In every setting, whether in private decisions, public conversations, or difficult responsibilities, these individuals act from the same internal rule. They do not create a different version of themselves to suit each circumstance. Their posture stays the same whether they are observed or alone. This consistency becomes their signature. Others notice. Even those who do not speak of it are influenced by it. Consistency builds credibility. It gives a reason to believe that the person's actions are not temporary or dependent on reward. Their discipline does not rely on external conditions. It is built through deliberate effort. They examine their thoughts. They train their responses. They hold themselves accountable. They do not wait to feel ready or inspired. Their choices are shaped by their responsibilities and values. They are able to stay steady during challenges because they have practiced steadiness in small and private ways. Their foundation is tested, but it does not shake. People remember the ones who showed restraint when it was easy to react, who acted when others stalled, and who stayed silent when others shouted. This influence remains even when they are not present. Their way of operating becomes part of how others define leadership, patience, and strength. In situations that require calm, others recall how they remained calm. In situations that require integrity, others remember how they never broke from principle. Their name is spoken when someone says, "That's how it should be done." Their legacy is not created by dramatic moments. It is created by repetition of clear, disciplined action. The pattern is what makes them unforgettable. They shape expectations not by what they say, but by what they consistently do. People hold on to that example because it offers clarity in a world that often does not. To live in alignment with values and to act consistently across all conditions is rare. Most people adjust to fit the mood of the room. But those who do not adjust their standards, who keep their behavior fixed to principle, are remembered. Their presence becomes a standard. Their character becomes instruction. Their steadiness becomes something others carry with them. This is the mark of conviction expressed through action. This is what it means to be unforgettable without needing to be seen. Chapter 2. Restraint in the midst of chaos. When chaos surrounds you, restraint becomes influence. Most people respond to chaos by reacting without thought. They speak too quickly, act too emotionally, and make poor decisions that increase disorder. The one who does not panic changes the dynamic. Their presence introduces stability. When they speak, they calm the room. When they act, they choose carefully. In a storm of reactions, the person who does not lose control. Stoics trained themselves to meet disruption with control. They understood that external conditions do not justify the loss of internal clarity. Seneca wrote, "The greatest remedy for restraint creates space for choice. It gives room to think clearly and respond deliberately." Most people justify their behavior by pointing to the situation. The Stoic prepares to act with discipline in every situation, regardless of how others behave. To be remembered, you must develop the capacity to stay composed when others collapse under pressure. People do not forget the one who stayed clear-headed when the group lost focus. They do not forget the one who handled an insult without escalating it. They remember the one who waited before responding and acted with precision instead of force. This ability is not built in extreme moments. It is trained in small ones. Practice restraint in your daily life. When interrupted, pause and listen. When someone speaks sharply, do not return the tone. When a plan breaks or delays appear, give yourself space before reacting. These small acts of discipline train the mind to respond with structure instead of emotion. The benefit of restraint is that it creates an inner stillness. This stillness is strength. It does not mean absence of feeling. It means directing those feelings in a useful way. It means knowing that you do not need to follow your first impulse. Impulse leads to regret. Restraint leads to control. This practice becomes more noticeable in situations of high tension. In meetings where others interrupt each other, your silence and clarity will stand out. In conflict where emotions flare, your calm tone becomes powerful. When decisions must be made quickly, your focus becomes valuable. People will remember that you remained steady. They will remember how your behavior raised the standard in the room. This impression lasts because people rarely witness consistent self-command under emotional strain. Most individuals let the moment decide their behavior. They react without preparation. The one who pauses and chooses their response becomes the exception. That restraint becomes recognizable. Others begin to associate that person with reasoned thinking and composure. Their presence becomes linked to resolution. When people recall how conflict was diffused or decisions were clarified, they often remember the person who stayed calm. That memory becomes lasting because it filled a gap when stability was needed. Repetition is what strengthens this image. A single moment of restraint can impress, but a pattern of it builds trust. Each instance reinforces the previous. People begin to rely on it. They look to the restrained person for direction, even without formal authority. This reputation grows quietly. It does not need attention. It becomes visible through steady behavior. The individual who practices this discipline earns influence without asking for it. Restraint requires ongoing practice. It is not avoidance. It is active control. It is the act of observing your internal state and deciding what will be expressed. This choice directs emotion into thought, then into deliberate movement. That process becomes sharper with repetition. Each time you replace reaction with reflection, you train clarity. Each time you delay your response, you give your reason time to lead. The person who builds this level of control gains a form of strength that others feel. They do not raise their voice to be heard. They do not explain their calm. It shows in how they move, how they listen, and how they decide. This kind of presence holds the room without force. People feel more stable simply because someone with internal discipline is nearby. This becomes a form of leadership that is earned through action. The restrained individual does not need to direct others to be respected. Their actions model control. Their steadiness influences without command. In meetings, they are often the first to listen and the last to speak. In crisis, they are the ones who keep moving while others freeze. This is not a performance. It is the result of habits formed in daily life. When this person is absent, others feel the difference. There is a noticeable shift in the environment. The atmosphere becomes more reactive. There is less composure, less clarity, and more hesitation. Their tone, their pace, and their measured judgment had set a quiet structure that others had learned to lean on. Without it, conversations lose rhythm, decisions feel less anchored. People begin to ask how they would respond, what they would have said, or how they would have carried themselves under pressure. Their way of being becomes a silent guidepost for others, even in their absence. This influence continues through memory. That is how restraint becomes unforgettable. It leaves a blueprint for others to follow, especially in moments of confusion or emotional strain. It teaches others how to manage pressure by observing someone who shaped themselves to face it with discipline. Self-control under pressure is one of the clearest signs of mastery. Those who possess it do not call attention to themselves. They move with purpose and patience. They let their actions speak, not as performance, but as principle in motion. Their calm spreads to others. Their steadiness reduces tension in the room. It becomes a reference point that others return to when they are unsure. People copy what they understand to be effective. When calm proves useful, it becomes a model. That is how the example expands. It becomes part of the expectations in the space they once occupied. That presence continues even in their absence because it showed others a better standard. Being unforgettable through restraint means building a habit of thoughtful responses and deliberate control. It is expressed when emotions rise and impulses call for immediate action. It is not a denial of feeling, but a structured expression of strength. It is developed by constant awareness of one's reactions and by making conscious choices about what to allow and what to redirect. It is a daily practice of intentional stillness. It is a long-term shaping of behavior that expresses inner order through repeated clarity in speech, action, and presence. It is the ability to stay steady without being invited to lead. It is the discipline to remain grounded when pressure demands reaction. This steadiness is remembered, and that memory continues to guide others long after the moment has passed. Chapter 3. The Clarity of Purpose. A person with clear purpose becomes a landmark. Their presence provides orientation. Their behavior becomes a signal of direction. Others notice that their decisions are not shaped by popularity or confusion, but by something established and steady. They become a reference point in motion. People instinctively compare their own uncertainty to this person's certainty. They observe how someone with purpose moves directly, speaks with intent, and acts with consistency. The Stoics lived with purpose as their guiding principle. They did not treat days as accidents or roles as burdens. They treated life as duty. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that his role was to serve others, to act with justice, and to live according to nature's law. That clarity was not abstract. It influenced every choice. His journal was filled with reminders to return to purpose, especially when distractions or difficulties pulled him away from it. Purpose does not require applause. It is not validated by reaction. It is defined by clarity. Each person has a role that does not depend on recognition. When you understand what that role is, your behavior becomes structured. Purpose begins with asking the right questions. What task belongs to you regardless of outcome? What responsibility must you fulfill, whether it is seen or unseen? What principles will you carry even when no one rewards them? Once these answers are known, they begin to form your direction. This direction eliminates hesitation. You no longer search for what to do. You begin to ask how to do it well. The presence of purpose creates quiet leadership. Others recognize the difference between someone who acts from principle and someone who follows trends. The person with purpose makes deliberate decisions. They move in one direction across many conditions. People sense the stability. They are drawn to it. They begin to copy it. A person who lives by aim becomes the one others watch when they are unsure of their own choices. The presence does not demand attention. It earns it through clarity and consistency. This influence grows without being imposed. It becomes part of the environment. Purpose must be maintained. It weakens if neglected. Review it consistently. Rewrite it if needed. Speak it internally. Let it become the lens through which you assess your daily conduct. Ask yourself if your time is being used in support of your role. Look at your conversations. Look at your commitments. If they divide your focus or distract from your responsibility, simplify or remove them. Purpose does not require perfection. It requires focus. That focus builds structure. That structure begins to remove what is unnecessary. Purpose influences how your time is structured and how your focus is applied. It shapes what you pursue, what you ignore, and what you protect. When your behavior is driven by purpose, your efforts become targeted. You stop scattering attention across too many priorities. Your tasks become fewer but more deliberate. Your commitments are chosen carefully. The result is a reduction in wasted energy. You gain more by doing less because your direction is fixed. This sharpening effect becomes visible in the way you manage your schedule, the way you speak, and the kind of work you produce. Your words lose decoration and gain force. You begin to say only what is needed. Your time becomes organized. You leave less open to distraction. Others recognize that your priorities are not random. They are part of something fixed. You begin to build a reputation for clarity. You do not explain your intent. Your discipline shows it. Most people spend their lives reacting to events. Their attention follows the loudest stimulus. Their goals change frequently. They accept obligations that conflict with each other. The person who follows purpose creates contrast. They become visible through stillness and focus. Their attention is directed. Their movement has rhythm. The memory of that kind of consistency does not disappear quickly. Small patterns make the largest impression. People notice what you consistently protect. They notice the decisions you do not explain. They remember the things you say no to. These signals reveal what matters to you. Those who observe you begin to carry those patterns into their own lives. They borrow parts of your discipline. They repeat your phrasing. They ask themselves how you would act. These are signs that your example has remained with them. Living with purpose is not a display. It is a method. It is a repeated process of deciding what deserves your attention and what does not. This practice reduces noise. It brings order to thought. It shapes how you walk into each room. Your actions begin to carry the weight of your clarity. You become someone whose presence cannot be ignored because your direction is so clear that it forces others to assess their own. This influence is not loud. It is embedded. The discipline to stay centered creates an atmosphere that spreads. People feel your presence before they describe it. They are drawn to your stability before they know how to name it. You lead by structure. You leave an impression by consistency. This kind of presence becomes part of their memory because it was a break from their usual environment. The person who lives with purpose does not need to make declarations. The structure of their life speaks clearly. Others remember it because it showed a different standard. It gave them a new measure of what it looks like to live by something durable. This is what